Hey everyone, it is Shell Being in Action. This is video 4 of this series for the Ganglion Cyst Peroneal Tendon Ligament Surgery series. I have crutches now at this point, as well as my scooter. I'm going to have a seat real quick. We'll get started with our tea time and I shall give you the update. There's no easy way to make that look good, and there's really no way to make that easy. So here we are. Today, I'm going to start out tea time with some tea that has already been brewing. I've been working on my tea for most of my day today. I've been drinking a Rasayana blend to bring the vitality back to my life. My update the other day at the surgeon's was a little bittersweet. I will explain. My mother is now back in Hawaii. She flew home yesterday. I went to bed at 5 a.m. yesterday morning. I woke up at about 11, and then the day consisted of just getting the place back in order, and boy, did that take the wind out of me. Today has been another day of mostly just rest and recovery, and I'm fighting off, I feel a cold, so I have been drinking some tea. Earlier today, I had my tea that I blended and explained to you all a few weeks ago. And now today, on top of that, I've added in my Rasayana blend. It's going to bring that, again, vitality. So enjoy your tea. One moment. No, I'm not making that up. It really feels that good. Sometimes we just push ourselves so far, so much further than we knew was possible, and it burns us out. I reached that point a few times in this surgery, and I feel it's come again. I have a wound that is half the way sealed up, and the other half is still trying to seal back up. We had excellent results until my stitches were removed. And then from there, the first half, which you saw in the video last time, just about a week ago, the top half was unsealed. Well, it's been now more than a week since, and it is still unsealed. That is the bittersweet part of it. That's not the good news. So we will be changing things up herbally, and I'll explain to you what all that looks like. But also, it's kind of changed my schedule for when I get to start my exercises. At this point, I should be doing little alphabets with my foot, get my ankle strengthened from the ligament surgery that they did. And I can't because of the top half being open. It could put too much pressure on the wound, which also makes me scared to continue to keep using my scooter. So I am now in the stage of mastering crutches. I had my mother take me to the beach when it was sunny, because at the beach here in Seattle, there's a nice long sidewalk. So I practiced crutches on there in the sun, and today we are back to rain. So I'm on my own. It's raining, but I've got some great updates. I have been able to ward off all pharmaceuticals at this point. I am doing things strictly natural. I do not have any sign of infection, which is fantastic news. I do, however, still have that open top half. Oh, my crutches. My crutch is about to fall. I better save it. Gotta keep it. Oh, I gotta keep that close by though. Okay. With my boot on, which I rarely use, I can, with my crutches, start putting my foot down onto the ground. Not really walk or put any real pressure, but just that. And without my boot on, I've now been starting to grab each toe and just kind of rub the muscles and tendons of my foot, particularly the arch and my toes. One thing I do have going on now that I will have to work on as an herbalist, so it seems this series may go for some time, but I have nerve damage. They gave me a nerve blocker because the pain had gone all the way up into my leg. They gave me a nerve blocker that numbed from my knee down, and I've gained most of that feeling and normality back, but I still have a constant zapping, stinging, tingling of pain in parts of my foot that were actually not cut into nor had the issues. So the surgeon believes it is nerve damage that should go away by the time I'm finished healing. If not, then there may be some lasting damage. So that news, on top of my mom going, on top of the holidays coming and being alone and needing all of this help, it's been an emotional few days. Maybe it's even the full moon. So again, to that, I'm having a Rasa Yana tea. Let's bring back some vitality, and I'll show you also what we're going to do. So it's not that there's no pain and it's not that there's no swelling, but how I've kept off the pharma is I have been taking a homemade tincture, which I explained in a few videos back, that I made for myself, as well as some homemade go-to cola Centella Asiatica pills. Those have been my primary components of the herbs, but here and there were other herbs. In homeopathic, there was arnica that I was using actually from the first few days on, as well as all of the teas that I've made. So I couldn't even tell you how many herbs at this point. I haven't kept a list. As an herbalist, we go through so many herbs in a daily. That would be like, gotta at least be over 40 herbs at this point. My teas can get complex, even teas that I've gotten from elsewhere. So this is a tea from a local herbalist. They are organic and they grow a lot of what they can, as well as wild source. So I am down with that. As I've explained, that's the whole goal of what I aim to be too as an herbalist. In this tea, we have a tulsi, which is also called holy basil, peppermint, cardamom, go-to cola, that's my lead healing herb, cinnamon, and rose. You'll probably recognize almost every one of these herbs, even from my videos in the prior. So I've been drinking that tea mixed with my own homemade tea that has my silica high content and mineral rich content from the herbs used in there. And then when that was left over, I just added in my Rasayana, and from there I've been brewing in Rasayana. That's one of the great features of having a tea kettle with the filter built in. But enough with the chit chat. I've kept off inflammation naturally. I don't need ibuprofen anymore. That's been permitted by doc. And how I've done it is tinctures of anti-inflammatory herbs. The tincture that I made has a mucilage-like component as well. You will also remember that I explained I'm in pain like all the time on top of the nerve pain. So we've had a few modalities for that. One point I was using a RSO, a legal RSO. Another point I was using a just CBD. Then at one point I added in, for pain, I tried ice. Ice didn't quite feel good on my wound. I've stopped icing. So now I have added into the mix again, organic tincture for pains. This one is not self-made, but we've got in here a nice blend of willow, Jamaican dogwood, feverfew, passion flower, black cohosh, St. John's wort. It's a strong blend. It's not one you would usually find in stores. And this is a nice reminder for me that I need to tell you all, I am not a doctor. I'm not claiming to be a doctor. I am a herbalist, however, and I do have a bachelor's of science in herbalism. I giggle at that because I graduated in a pandemic, and then since then have had a surgery, and boy, it hasn't even been 2 years yet since I've graduated. So the knowledge, it's in this body, and I guess my body is giving me my own project to work on. But again, I don't state to be a doctor, but as a herbalist, on top of what I'm doing for myself, I give you those credentials. I was never required to get a degree in herbalism. You can be an herbalist by just going and having a passion and collecting data, collecting information, and giving it back. However, I did go to the extent and I got a bachelor's of science. And to do that, I had to take alongside all of the herbalism realm so many classes for the human body. I was going to a medical school, well, not becoming a doctor, but becoming an herbalist, whilst in this pandemic. It's made things so real. And with what's happening on my own body, things are so real. So I'm stating what I do on my body for information purposes to the world. I am showing what is being done for myself and working for myself. And again, not stating to be a doctor. I do, however, have the power of herbs on my side. And at this point, I'm able to say I have replaced the other side with herbs. So I'm taking modalities that are herbal for pain. I'm taking modalities that are herbal for flexibility, for tendon flexibility particularly, but as well as inflammation response. And I've also been consuming herbs alongside to make sure that I don't get sick along this process. The fact to say I have no signs of infection on my wound, when they cut out a large ganglion cyst from my body, then repaired ligaments, and I refused hardware. Because I know my body too well, I feel I would resist naturally the hardware if it were put in my body. So instead I opted in for the more experimental side of things, where they have melted my tendons, ligaments together. It's kind of confusing still, not being the doctor himself. His terminology goes back and forth a little. They skipped the peroneal tendon, but what I can tell you is the pain is there. We've been managing it naturally. The inflammation was there. I've managed it naturally. There's no sign of an infection, and I have never put a chemical on this incision. It's only been done herbally and naturally. The fact that I have fought off all of the inflammation and swelling and no fever ever came shows that my body is not in distress and it is healing. But the healing got slightly halted because of the fact that the top half is not sealed. And I believe that is because I keep doing too much. I am a active individual, and being forced to sit here and have a cup of tea, for example, being creative is lovely, but it's so hard since, again, graduating in a pandemic. I keep finding myself wanting to be so much more productive and educated. Instead of reading for leisure, my entire shelf is all educational books. So we're getting to the point of, if it's going to be educational, then I've got to at least give this knowledge back in some way. So as this series develops, I will be getting better minded now that I am off of the pharma. I'm not in that foggy mind anymore. I'm starting to sleep more. I'm getting less and less like wake-ups through the night. So I'm actually sleeping longer and deeper. So that will allow more healing. And realizing that this has been an emotional situation. Living with my mother again for the first time since I was 15. Sharing the same bed as her in a micro studio. Whilst in the pain and healing, but not even being able to stand. Today, I was able to shower myself for the first time, and it was by myself. That felt so great. I've obviously showered along this whole time, but I've needed help getting in and out of the shower as I can't stand and I have to sit on a stool. And it's been a process, but between now having the strength and being able to dangle my leg downwards between the crutches and the scooter, there we are. So I'm going to show the wound. It's always gnarly, but I'm doing this because I want you to see what I've been talking about, so it's realistic for you to understand. The tinctures that I have gathered, you saw me pouring some. I will explain as a quick reminder, I did educate in the other videos, but a typical dose is between 15 and 30 drops. 15 drops is one little vial full. I'll show you what I mean by vial. That's right there would be 15 drops. 30 is going to be 2 of those, and that's a standard max dose. I, however, know the herbs I'm taking. If you are going to go for a stronger dose, if you're going to start mixing, and if you're going to start getting into this, seek out help from your local herbalist or a professional. Ask your doctor if you are on certain medications, because there are contraindications with herbs. You may have remembered from my early on video that I couldn't even take certain herbs because it was contraindicated with the surgery. So knowing that, seek out help. I, however, again, am doing this for myself. I know myself and I know the herbs I'm divulging myself into. So in this, I have more than one dose. I have 2 dropperfuls of each of my tinctures I'm taking. And I like to do it in a shot glass with just a splish of water. Well, that's actually more than I usually do, but I like to do that because there's a synergy when it mixes with water. Plus, if you were to just put it in a shot glass and down all of them, oh my goodness, you will have the hairs raise on your body. At least that's what happens to me. It's too intense. Some people will put it right under their tongue, and with some tinctures, you can do that. Others it's just yeah. When you start taking tinctures, you'll understand. Everyone has their own little flavor profile. And then when you start mixing them together, it's like food. It doesn't always taste the great when some of them go together. So in here we have, don't mind my face as I drink it, a little concoction for the pain, the swelling, the inflammation. All of those in one. As well as a little bit of moistening for my joints. And then we have my Rasayana tea as my chaser. Then we're jumping in. And I like to show you all that process because it's not as simple as it seems. My little brother would be one that actually has thrown up twice after having one of the tinctures that I thought was a tastier one. So teaching others how to do it in a way that's a little more palatable, I felt would be of use. That's not a nice tasting one. So what I immediately did is swallow, but have a tea or a juice right by. And once you've swallowed that, don't even give yourself a second to, it's that motion that makes you taste it more. And you might not even know that you do that, but we naturally do it after a swallow. Don't let yourself and throw the next sip of your chaser back there and keep going. Just keep drinking a few sips, then come out for a sip of air and you'll be all good. Anyway, I have to get the camera off the tripod. So, here we go. This is what we've got. Ooh. Okay. So you can actually see my ankle now. You'll notice that before you could not see my ankle. It was just a swollen mass. Now, however, we're seeing a little point. My skin's quite dry, but so be it. There's still the staining from surgery, from the, I guess, whatever they cleaned my body with. That is a stain, but the bruising didn't show up like I would think. But you see here, I have this intense pulling, and it's from this ligament that they repaired that I need to heal. So that not being healed yet is what we need to work on. So I've had to skip putting salve on it for the last few days until it forms more of a scab right there. Then once I have that, I can start doing a salve again topically. I do have this large bruise there, as well as blister and bruising still in my heel. It's hard to see the under of my foot, but other than that, we are pretty good. I'm staying out of the water now, trying to keep it more dry, doctor's orders. And then once it is officially sealed back up, I'll be going to a different salve, which will be a salve that is for scarring specifically. So we're still just working on the scarring internally for now. But, I mean, overall, looking at it, that's where I feel I'll have the most scarring, of course. But, over here, it is sealed up. And this started out longer than it even is now. So, the healing is doing pretty good. But anyway, thank you again for watching. Like and subscribe to see what all I am doing for the remainder of the healing. There will be a eventually healed up wound. We're going to be doing the scar tissue healing. Then from there, we're going to be strengthening the tendons, the ligaments, my muscles from my leg, not having been able to use it from this whole 7-month saga. Then surgery happened, and basically it's going to turn into like a 9-10 month saga. So thanks again. Stay tuned for more. Like and subscribe. Shell being with action. Bye-bye.